urge you to stay on till the end if you really want all the answers to the questions. We're going to look at popular colleges for the stream, which is essentially sciences. We're going to do, a walk through the kind of exams, and a lot of you have questions around that. So it will be, very useful for you to look at the exams that are mostly taken or need to be taken. I'll walk you through the kind of popular specializations, some niche programs that are there in the market, and by market I mean the university and college system. And then we'll get into a course deep dive. Now, what exactly is a course deep dive? A lot of you feel that, okay, I'm interested in, say, XYZ course, but what is it that exactly I'm going to study? That is something that you should ideally know before you figure out whether you really resonate with that program or not, right? So we're going to look at what exactly do you learn in that particular program, and we'll do a course deep dive for these 5 courses that are right in front of you. Integrated BSc, Biotechnology, we'll do Environmental Sciences, Cybersecurity, and Actuarial Sciences. So we've kind of pre-selected these 5 courses to do the deep dive. Okay, so let's look at the platter that is there for science students. You have, of course, the entire, so these are not separate degrees, but I can tell you that this have kind of broken it down into the BSc, the whole plethora of BSc programs that you have. There is a BSc Physics, BSc Math, Chemistry, Computer Science, Information Technology, Immunology, Home Sciences, Economics, Genetics. This is not the laundry list, but this is definitely a popular list. And we'll find out more about that. But this is exactly the options that you have when you go out looking for a BSc program. Then I have kind of plucked out agri sciences, although BSc is, just a minute, my screen has frozen. Deepak, I need help here. Can you help with this? I'm not able to sort of move ahead with my presentation. The screen has frozen.
Just a second.
Okay, got it. Back in control. Okay, great. So what I've done is I've plucked out agri sciences from the entire BSc family and kept it separate, although it is a BSc agri sciences degree. So you have farm sciences, horticulture, dairy technology, fisheries, forestry, vet sciences. All these come under the family of agricultural sciences, and we are primarily an agricultural nation. So we'll talk a lot about this because this is really the most popular bucket in the entire sciences family. Okay, it's even more popular than BTech, which is the whole BTech, the technology programs. Then we come to the integrated programs. We have integrated programs and dual degree programs. Now, a lot of people get confused between the two. We're going to be talking more in detail about what is the difference between these 2 programs and how different is the structure. But at this point, I just want to say that integrated programs are a joint BSc and an MSc. So it's a bachelor's and a master's. And this is again, an entire platter for you to choose, to kind of figure out what combinations that you want to do depending on what you're interested in. Right? Then we have the medicine fields. You have MBBS. MBBS is one of the most popular degrees, of course, in medicine, but then you have nursing, pharmacy, dental, homeopathy, Unani medicine, naturopathy, Ayurvedic sciences. There's bachelor's in public health as well. One can argue that this is a BSc program. Why do you want to put it in medicine? But it uses a lot of the medical kind of components, and that's why it's a matter of classification here. Then we have engineering. This is the entire BTech degrees that are available, and this is the specializations that you're looking at. Computer science, aeronautical, textile, petroleum, electrical, chemical. This is kind of a representation of the popularity in which students want to go for these. And then you have the
Shruti, just a second.
Yeah.
Can you try come closer to the mic? We are facing some trouble hearing you.
Okay, are you getting a lot of students saying can't hear?
Still the same.
Right. Is this a little better? Is this better?
Not to me.
Can't do much about it now. That's why I'm speaking a little slowly so that I'm kind of, dragging my words so that there's no miss. Yeah, should I continue, Dipank? What do you
Yes,
say?
please continue now.
Okay, okay, all right. Thanks. Okay, so coming back to computers, as you can see, we're going to be talking about a bit of computers. We'll talk about cybersecurity as we go along, but I'm not going to be covering the rest of the computer family. We'll do that with the engineering module. And yes, there's architecture. So if you look at my screen, the first three buckets is what we're going to be focusing on in this module. And we'll follow it up with the medicine and engineering and computers separately. Okay, so I hope you guys find it exciting, and I hope you guys are going to stay with us till the end so that you get the most out of this. So let's move to the colleges now. Which are the popular BSc colleges that you should be looking at? Tell me, how many colleges are you familiar with? How many colleges are you can you count colleges on both the fingers of both your hands? Which ones do you think are the ones that are popular, which you should be applying to? So if you ask me, the most prominent one is the one that you are very likely to have heard of the most often is the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, right? In addition to that, there are the ICERs, which is the Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research, and and there are seven of them, and there is National Institute of Science, Education and Research, right? These are uh, our main, the Ratna, the national Ratna, jo bolte hain, of the Indian university system. In addition to that, you have Mumbai University's Department of Atomic Energy Center for Excellence in Basic Sciences, that's SEBS for short. And you have some of the IITs offering BSc programs, right? There's Kanpur, there's ISM, there's Kharagpur, ISM Dhanbad is, one of the recently made IITs. In addition to that, there are a lot of other colleges. This is a very short list. So actually the list is not really short. There are a lot of colleges for you to look at. And this list here is not a ranking. I want to just clarify that this is not a ranking. This is not a one, two, three. This is a group. This is popular science colleges. And we figured out popularity on the basis of basically the kind of students, the number of views that we get for these colleges on Shiksha, right? So that we're taking that as an indicator. And a lot of these happen to be ranked as well, but that's a co-occurrence. But it's interesting for you to look at all of them, right? So there's, as you can see, it's a mix of private colleges and government colleges. Hindu College, Delhi University, PTY College of Arts at Stevens, Madras Christian College, Presidency, Christ. There are a few universities here: Christ University, Banaras Hindu University, UNI Pune, SOA, right? Then in addition to this, I'm not going to read out the entire list, but I'll hang on so that all of you can absorb the list nicely. There are other prominent BSc colleges as well, and these colleges are in no way less than this. Again, I'm saying this is not a ranking. Oxford College of Sciences, there's NMIMS, Narsi Monji, Lady Shriram College, Ramjas College, Kirori Mal. A lot of them are from Delhi University. There is a good smattering of colleges from other cities. Now, we can move on to exams. Let's see what kind of exams are the prominent exams for science students. Just a sense of what exactly this color coding here stands for. The darker the color, the more prominent is the exam. Now, but what do I mean by prominence? Essentially, I have taken the number of students who are appearing for that exam as an indicator of prominence, right? So you can see ICAR, which is Indian Council of Agricultural Research, hosts the All India Engineering Entrance Admission Test for for about 75 agricultural universities, right? These are central universities, state universities, deemed universities, and almost 2.5 lakh students appear for roughly 5,875 seats. And you're looking at the BSc. Remember the slide on the program. So you look at the entire agricultural family, the BSc Agri, Horticulture, Forestry, Dairy. This particular exam is what students want to take up first for the agricultural universities. Right, now with that, we move on to the next most popular, which is NEST, which is the National Entrance Screening Test. And it's the entry point for the National Institute of Science, Education and Research, which offers an integrated BSc and an MSc program. It's also the entrance point for SEBS, which is Mumbai University's Department for Center of Excellence. Right? Why is this so interesting? You might ask, well, if you happen to be interested in working for the Department of Atomic Energy of the Government of India, then this is the program. This is where you want to go. Right, and there's a lot of these are all great places for you to be getting into hardcore research in some of the cutting edge areas of science. Again, some approximation, 60,000 students appearing for 250 seats. This is arguably the most competitive exam on my slide. Then we have ICERs. It's the ICER exam. The entrance exam is the entry point for 7 ICERs. And in addition to ICER entrance score, there's also the KVPY, which is the Kishore Vigyanik Protsan Yojana. This is an aptitude test that students like to take. You can take this even in your 11th standard or 12th standard. I think a lot of you might be familiar with this exam. This is essentially, you can use the score for applying to IISc Bangalore, to ICERs, IIIT Hyderabad, CV Raman Global University. And you might be interested to know also that this is such a prestigious exam that a lot of people like to carry KVPY scholar in their CVs. So it does give you an edge. Right? It also qualifies you for a lot of fellowships because it's essentially a fellowship exam. Right, so let's move on to EPM set. I'm still talking about the important ones, which is the colored lot here. EPM set is again a state level exam for Andhra, and it is your entry point to look at the list of courses here: BSc Agriculture, Horticulture, Veterinary Sciences, Animal Husbandry, Forestry Sciences, again, the entire agri family. We're looking at 358 colleges and roughly 2 lakh applicants applying for 1.3 lakh seats. You might wonder, why am I sharing the number of applicants to you? I think it's important for you to figure out what is the total number of applicants and what is the number of seats, just to give you a sense of the kind of competition that you guys have to or will be up against, right? And also to give you a bird's eye view of what are the prominent exams and where exactly, what are the kind of seats that it's kind of applicable for, so that you can also choose which exam you want to take. You don't, I mean, there's an upper limit to the number of exams that you can choose, right? Moving on, there is also the UP Combined Agricultural Technology Entrance Test. Again, there's a host of programs that it is making you eligible for. Interestingly, if you see my slide, it is a breakup. You can look at 3 types of exams. There is a central level exam, there are state level exams, and there are university level exams. So for example, the BHU UET, which is the Banaras Hindu University, the Pantnagar University entrance, the Jamia Millia, the AMU Aligarh Muslim University, all these are institute specific exams, even ISI for that matter, which is the Indian Statistical Institutes. This again is a very, very prestigious institutes. If you guys love numbers, if any of you love numbers, then this is the place to go, because mostly people out of ISIs end up with think tanks and government, policy decision-making departments. Yeah, so with that, let me just give you a little summary of the last 2-3 slides, a few key takeaways that I want to leave you with, and then we can move on to our next section. As you can see, that BSc Agri is a huge bucket because of the various specializations, and it is not just dairy and fisheries. There's a lot of interesting stuff happening in terms of biotechnology, food technology. This is the kind of stuff where a lot of research work is happening. New foods getting developed in labs. Vegetarian fish, for example, a vegetarian meat getting developed, and that comes under food technology. I just give you a sense. Then we have some interesting BSc courses, which are very different from the core, pure sciences, the physics, bio. math kind of courses, and we're moving into nautical sciences, actuarial sciences. We're going to do a deep dive in that. Then you have a little bit a data point here that a lot of BSc students might want to pivot to BTech programs in their second or third year if they develop an interest or an affinity for that, and that option is open for you. Like a lot of you would probably be looking at a BSc or a BTech program simultaneously. So if you happen to land up in a BSc program, you can still move into a BTech in your second or a third year. And what you need to do is take a lateral entry exam and just look up the lateral entry requirements for your destination colleges. Okay? In addition to that, there is a lot of interesting combination of subjects that are offered by different universities. For example, Bangalore University is offering a BSc in 3 different versions, right? So they have these interesting abbreviations where they go EMC, which is an electronics mathematics.
Shruti, uh, Shruti, is it possible if you can try replugging your earphone once again?
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah, I've just done that. Is it any different?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That makes me very optimistic. Thanks. Okay, so coming back to course combinations, we were at Bangalore University, and as you can see on my slide, you could combine a genetics, microbiome, or a biochem, or if you're not interested in genetics, you could also look at a zoology. But the point is, this is almost like a liberal sciences take on the science programs, right? And this is exactly what we talk about when we look at integrated MSc programs. So if you look at this blue table here, and I can read it out to you because I think a white on blue doesn't is not very legible. So the entire platter here is like biochemistry, biotechnology, computer science, environmental science, microbiome, stats, chemistry. I think there's a lot of specialized subjects here that you can combine and really choose which program you want to go for. Now, since integrated MSc programs is so interesting, I have a dedicated slide to the universities and colleges offering such programs. Okay, and I'll just walk you through the different kind of colleges that are offering them. Um, we have one entire bucket of central or state universities, and I've put some examples here. This is not a laundry list. This is just a set of examples for you to see what is the variety like. For example, there's Vishwabharati University that offers a 5-year MSc, Birla Institute of Technology offering an integrated MSc, University of Hyderabad has an integrated MSc in physics, Cochin University offers one in photonics, Amrita University has a School of Arts and Sciences in physics and maths, Coimbatore Institute of Technology, there's Atria University where you can choose your degree as you graduate actually, depending on what credits you combine during your 4 years. Right, then we have the large bucket of IITs. We have IIT Kanpur, Madras, Kharagpur, Bombay, and Dhanbad offering various programs. As you can see, BSc Physics, Math, Scientific Computing, Eco. There's 5-year BS-MS dual degree in physics, integrated MSc in physics, 5-year dual degree MTech in engineering, physics, and nanosciences. And the ISM Dhanbad is offering a 5-year MSc Applied Physics. Now, I'm going to talk a bit about the integrated and dual degree so that we don't have any doubts about that. Okay, so ICERs, 7 ICER and 1 NICER and IISc Bangalore, right? So both these are offering BSMS dual degrees. Now, there is a difference in the way ICER structure the program and the way IISc goes about it. As you can see, IISc is a 4-year BS research course, and it offers a variety of subjects: physics, biochemistry, earth and environmental sciences, material sciences, math, and humanities. But the interesting thing here is that it'll allot you your major at the beginning of the course and when you enroll. Okay, so you have to choose, you have to be very clear what is the subject combination that you want. As opposed to that, ICERs work a little differently. It will allow you 2 years of foundation courses, and it'll then let you choose your major from the 3rd year onwards. Okay, so a little more open, a little more flexible, but nevertheless, both ICERs and ISC are really the best, the most aspirational set of colleges for you to be looking at. Okay, so with that, let's move on to popular specializations. Um, okay, sorry, I think I missed covering the integrated and the dual degree bit. Just go back to my earlier slide. Now, the thing is that a lot of people get confused between should I go for a dual degree or should I go for an integrated program? Now, the two have their advantages and the two have their very peculiar features, right? Integrated programs are typically in a single sphere of or a single stream. For example, you would go for an integrated program in physics, or you would go for an integrated program in math. Uh, Whereas a dual degree is more likely to be interdisciplinary. It's more likely to be, combining two different specializations, right? So, for example, you could do a microbiome with stats, or you could do a math with linguistics, right? So, those are that's the kind of mix that you would have. Integrated program also requires you to do an early opt-in, which means that if you say that, oh, I love it with physics and I'm willing to, go in for a 5-year integrated program in physics, then that's great. You probably want to go in for an early decision in specializing in physics, as opposed to a dual degree where you say, okay, I have an equal affinity to both biology as well as physics, and I'd rather do a dual degree program. Some of the colleges also offer an early opt out for students who are like, okay, I'm done after, I'm not really interested in finishing my 5 years. I would like to walk out after 3 years and maybe walk out with a single degree. So some of the universities offer that flexibility to students. So you must look at what are the specific rules and the requirements of the different programs that you're looking at, and then figure out whether you want to go for a dual degree or for an integrated program. Another important point is that a dual degree will give you 2 degrees at the end of the program. It's essentially combining programs like 6 years. If you do 2 degrees, it's essentially 6 years, and you kind of crunch that into a 5-year module. Whereas an integrated program is like more of a 4 to 5 year, where the 5th year is like a PhD thesis, right? So it's essentially 8 semesters of study and 2 semesters of PhD, 2 semesters of the thesis that you will do, right? So see what suits you more and then go for that. Then take your final call. Okay, let's move to the popular specializations. Now, what we did on Shiksha is, of course, we have a lot of data, a lot of colleges, a lot of courses talking about different specializations. And we kind of looked at the page views, which is an indicator of the popularity of those specializations. And then we came up with this list here in front of you. So as you can see, again, agri, math, physics, computer science, chemistry, biotechnology, biology, and so it goes on. So these are some of the popular specializations in sciences. You might be wondering why I have a fashion design here, but there is a BSc fashion design. There is also a BF Tech in fashion that is available in the market. There is a separate design element here also. There's bioinformatics, genetics, and so on. Okay, this is just to give you a sense of what are the popular specializations in science. Okay, moving on to our course deep dive. Let's look at dual degrees. Just going to check the time. Okay. So dual degrees, as I mentioned earlier, we've already spoken about the integrated degrees. Let's look at what dual degrees are all about. So 2-degree structure, this is a combination that we're talking about. You can combine a BSc with a law. So you'll have a lot of BSc LLB programs available in various colleges. A lot of the national law universities offer combination programs. They offer BSc LLB, BBA LLB, and so on. Then you have the BSc B.Ed. You have some universities also offering a BSc B.Ed. There's a BSc MSc, which is a little more pure, it's science all the way. And there's a BSc MBA that you can do, right, which combines with the business aspect of things. what do you study? So I'm going to take one example. We look at a basic LLB program and then we'll kind of break down the module. Now, this table here is essentially what I've done is looked at the course curriculum of a bunch of prominent law universities that are offering this combination dual degree program. And then I've come up with a sort of a lowest common denominator as to this is exactly what most of the programs are going to be teaching you. So this is curriculum. This is exactly what you're going to be studying. So I would urge all of you to look at the curriculum and see this is what I'm going to study before you take a call on whether you want to apply for that program or not. If you don't resonate with these topics, it's not likely that you're going to enjoy the program, right? If you can see, the first column here is mostly the science core modules, information technology, biotechnology, cytology, genetics, earth and environmental sciences, biochemistry, bioinformatics, psychology and neurosciences, right? Forensic science. And then the second column here is all about law, environmental law, labor law, insurance law, taxation law, international trade and business law, and so on. Now, most of these courses are structured in this way. You have about 4 to 5 years of the entire program. That's about 8 to 10 semesters. You have a lot of lab work, there's lecture courses, there's project work, and of course, you can choose, it's a credit-based system, so you can choose which courses that you want before you finalize your credits, total number of credits. And the last year, there's a master's research project, as I mentioned earlier. This is your thesis. So some universities have a 2 semester thesis and some universities have a 1 semester thesis, right? So this is a dual degree in BSc. Let's move on to biotechnology. Now, biotechnology is one massive area of study. It's essentially the study of living organisms, right? Where we use substances derived from living organisms for application in various industries. Now, if you actually get into this area, there's a lot of scope in terms of application. So let's look at some of the industries that you could be working for, right? So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a teaser around all these industries. I'm sure you've heard of these names before, these terms before. Bioinformatics is essentially data. It combines biological information and the ability to look at large data and understand large data, right? So, for example, if you look at the number of COVID infections, COVID deaths, old infections, new infections, and you kind of plot that on a graph, you might then be actually working in the field of bioinformatics. And basis that, you do certain predictions, you come up with certain suggestions, and so on and so forth. So when you get into a field where you're looking at biological instances, bioinformation, data, and large amount of data and kind of making sense of that, that's bioinformatics. Right? Then biopharma is the field of medicine. So you're talking of drug development, vaccines, antibiotics, diagnostic techniques, that's essentially biopharma. Then moving on to industrial biotech, we're looking at designing energy efficient products for processes. Can we create better biofuels? Can we create more resource efficient processes? That's essentially industrial biotech, right? Food biotech, anybody heard of genetically modified foods? That's essentially food biotechnology, right? I mean, creating new foods, creating foods which are uh, more nutritious, require less water, require less resources, and so on. Then you have environment biotech, right? Can we use biotech applications to address problems of waste management? You know, what are the ways in which human beings are engaging with the environment, and how can we make that easier on the environment? You know, waste management, water management, and so on. And then finally, agri-biotech. This is developing new bio-based pesticides, fertilizers, you know, pest-resistant crops, and so on. This is that field. Uh, you could be looking at a BSc Biotechnology, a BTech, or a B. These are the 3 different credentials available. And looking at the kind of curriculum you have, this is what you study in organic chemistry, physics, life sciences. So you will basically look at various organisms, how do you actually go about studying them, deconstructing them. And then there is a plethora of areas that you can pick up, and that decides on which industry you can actually move towards. If you're looking at maybe animal biotechnology, then you're looking more towards industrial biotech, right? Or if you're looking at well, I've not captured all, but if you're looking at introduction to computers and you're looking at stats, then you're probably going towards bioinformatics, right? So this is a very basic sense. This is just to give you a basic sense of what you will study, and not the entire platter. Okay, let's move on to environmental sciences. Um, Again, a very important field and somewhere joined at the hip with biotechnology. But this is essentially talking about in what ways we engage with the environment, in what ways we can improve that engagement. You're going to be studying, Earth surfaces processes, physics and chemistry, environment, ecology and ecosystems, urban ecosystems, biodiversity and conservation, environmental pollution, solid waste management. There's a lot of stuff, water and water resources, right? And there are various areas of specialization ranging from wildlife, water, waste, environment, forestry, disaster management, environmental chemistry, population studies. Interestingly, there are a bunch of credentials that you can do, beginning with, of course, there is the 3-year BSc degree and the MSc program as well, but there are a lot of certificate programs available in the market. There's a PG diploma as well, but there are some short-term diploma programs too. You can definitely look them up. And a lot of students want to combine their UG program with maybe certificate programs in some of these areas. For example, you can maybe go in for a BSc Stats and pick up a certificate program in green technology. That is also available. So I would really encourage you to look up the kind of short-term modules that are available, which can give you a good head start in environmental sciences. Okay, let's move on to cybersecurity. This is a specialized field in information technology and fast becoming critical area. Well, we are mostly more and more becoming dependent on online platforms, becoming more and more vulnerable actually, with so much of personally sensitive information out there for people to hack into, which explains why this area is really very, very critical, right? Let's look up what you study in cybersecurity. So we begin with fundamentals of information security systems, legal issues in cybersecurity, managing risk in information systems, security policies, cyber warfare. What are the various ways in which your systems can get impacted adversely? Network security, hacker techniques. This is another term. A lot of people use ethical hacking as another term that is, that you guys are probably more familiar with, thanks to Ankit Fadia many decades ago. Right? There's internet security, systems forensics. Then there is device specificity, because you're also looking at various devices. We're all mobile first today. Social psychology, right? So these are the various things that you study along with the computer languages. Okay, yeah. So just like environmental sciences, there are a lot of short duration certificate and diploma programs available, both at UG and PG level, that you can combine with your undergraduate program. I mean, you could be studying, dairy technology and still do a program in Python, I guess, because there are a lot of institutes which offer short-term programs, especially the NILITs. I want to call out the National Institute of Electronic and Information Technology institute here, which was set up by the Ministry of Electronics and IT. So a lot of you might remember the DOIC centers. Many years ago, these have been renamed NILITs, and they have a massive footprint. They offer 77 courses across 900 training institutes, almost 10,000 facilitation centers, right? So you don't really need to look far for doing something in cybersecurity. Then we have a lot of the universities offering these programs: Reva University, Sharda, Praxis, Amity, Institute of Information Technology, BSc Institute. A lot of institutes offer computer modules along with their core programs. It's also, I mean, you could be doing a regular UG program and you could choose a cybersecurity module along with the main program that you do as to do some of your credits, right? Okay, so let's move on to actuarial sciences. This is the last in our series of course deep dives. And then after that, we can open up for questions. What exactly are actuaries? What exactly is actuarial sciences? Well, we sort of live in uncertain times. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, if it's a second wave, third wave, fifth wave, right? So what do we do? I mean, there is risk, and the only way we can sort of prepare ourselves to handle that risk is by first analyzing risk across various fields, looking at data, how has it impacted us in the past, how is it likely to impact us in the future, right? So what these guys typically do is they look at risk, they do some modeling around that by looking at data, and they make predictions on the basis of that, right? So if you were to come up with an insurance policy and say, okay, this is what exactly should the price of that policy be? What should the premium be that people are likely to pay? What should the liability of the insurance company be, et cetera, right? So actuaries actually uh, design insurance policies. They also happen to be one of the most, best paid people, professionals in the country. How do you become an actuary? You have to clear the actuarial common entrance test. You register at the Institute of Actuaries of India, and there's a series of 15 exams that you need to take. But you can start working after 4 to 5 exams. You don't really have to wait for all those exams to get over before you can start working. As you can see, stage one, stage two, three, four. Okay, in the first stage, you're looking at core studies, actuarial statistics, mathematics, business finance, business management, risk modeling, financial engineering and loss reserving, business economics. Then you move on to studying a bit about the practice, the actuarial practice, communications, modeling. And then between 3 and 4, you really move on to becoming a specialist, right? You look at various industries and applications of actuarial practices to various industries, healthcare, life insurance, pension and other benefits, general insurance, investment and finance, right? So once you clear the series of exams, you could be working in pension funds, insurance companies, consulting firms, risk management companies, right? That's a really large stage over there for you to be applying these uh, principles to. Right? A lot of students combine actual preparation along with maths. So you could be doing a BSc math, you could be doing a BSc stats. A lot of commerce students, people who are doing BCom honors also like to take actuarials. So we're going to be covering actuarial sciences with a commerce module as well. But I thought it is relevant here, so we've kind of combined it here. So that kind of brings us to the end of our science module. I think I have sort of kept within our time limit. Sorry, I forgot to mention the institutes, Institute of Actuarial and Quantitative Studies, Amity School of Actuarial Sciences, Christ University, and Bishop Heber College, Trichy. This is not the entire list, but this is just some of the colleges that offer some UG programs that are dedicated to actuarial sciences. Otherwise, like I mentioned before, you can combine it with pretty much other programs, other UG programs, and just keep prepping simultaneously. Right? Okay, so before we wind up, I want to sort of just spend a few seconds in talking about the college selection journey. How many of us actually look at all more than a couple of these aspects before we figure out what college we want to go to, right? Um, take a look, take a few seconds. I hope all these elements are visible. Let me just read it out to you. You could speak to a campus rep or a college student. You could look at some college placement and alumni salary data. You could look at some college reviews, and I mean authentic college reviews and not the doctored ones or not the, promotional college reviews. You could look at some, you can engage with some Q&A with some students on various Q&A forums. You can look at some predictors, rank predictors, college predictors. Of course, there you can look at rankings, but this is probably the only thing which many students tend to see. You can look at college comparison tools, expert articles, entrance exams, and of course, you can visit the official website. Right. Now, I would urge you to look at, if not all, at least many of all these parameters before you figure out which college you want to go to. Most of the stuff, in fact, all this stuff is available on Shiksha, of course, but you're most welcome to look at official websites in addition to engaging with the tools that we have on Shiksha. For example, I would say, we're very strict about what kind of reviews we publish. We have a campus rep program in case you want to reach out to a current student and actually chat with that student or be part of that student's webinar, then I would urge you to leave your email ID in the chat box and we'll be reaching out to you. So there's a lot of stuff that we do. And if you guys want us to kind of, connect you with the right person in that college, maybe get you to speak to an official person or the student, then please do leave your email ID on the chat and we'll be getting in touch with you and facilitating that. Great. So with that, I would really like you to, let's move on to questions. But before that, Deepank, can we have a short feedback survey just so that everybody can give us a bit of rating so that we have some sense of how we're doing, and we'll be able to improve next time. Guys, would be very happy, would appreciate if you can fill this up quickly before we move on to the Q&A section. I hope this session was helpful. And if you have any suggestions or recommendations for us, then it'd be great if you can give us those recommendations, because we have a lot of modules left and we will definitely incorporate your recommendations. We have an exclusive science report also for you, which Deepank will be sharing once we're done with the Q&A. So that's exclusively available for only you guys, because you've been with us till the end. Great. So I think till the time the survey is getting done, let's also start picking up the questions. I'm just going to go from top to bottom. Is BSc Microbio a good course? This is from Samra Fatima. What is the scope in India? And can BSc microbiologists get a job in ISRO? Okay, and there are 7 thumbs up. So I guess this is a popular question. Samra, this sort of a question, BSc Microbio, is it a good course? Now, it really depends on what is your parameter for a good course? Is it, what is it that you want to do with it, right? I mean, if the parameter is it going to get me a job in ISRO? If it doesn't, then it's not a good course. Then maybe you want to redefine this, right? It's a fantastic course. You have to be passionate about microbiome. If you're passionate about this, I mean, I'm sure that there'll be a lot of other opportunities for you to go to in addition to ISRO. Yes, I'm sure ISRO appreciates and makes use of skill sets of microbiologists and scientists who have this field in their UG or in their PG. So the answer to that question is yes, it's a fantastic course. And in addition to ISRO, there are a lot of other, Government of India institutes or organizations that you should be looking at too, right? And okay, I hope that answers your question. Let's move on. Please provide slides in our mail. That's going to be a little difficult, Harish. We don't really do that. But it'd be great if you can attend our subsequent sessions too and maybe spread the word. How about BTech in biotechnology? Yes, BTech in biotechnology is a credential that is available. I've covered that. But you must understand, when you do a BSc, it is a lot more research oriented. If it's a BTech degree, it's a lot more application oriented. That's the basic difference between a BSc program and a BTech program. Okay. Which courses have you studied? Okay, this is very interesting, Harish. If you really want to know, I mean, maybe we can get on a chat separately. Okay, does psychology have scope in India? Oh yes, there's massive scope, and we're going to be covering psychology in our humanities module in the coming week. I think it's coming Wednesday, and Dipank is going to drop that link with you. Samiksha, maybe you can just share your email ID, and we'll let you know when the psychology module happens. Okay. What are the further opportunities after studying integrated MSc in NIT Surat? What maybe you want to ask, what are the further opportunities after studying integrated MSc? So firstly, you need to see what MSc. I mean, integrated MSc is massive. I mean, it really is a super specialization. You're specializing earlier than later. You are probably walking out as a specialist in 4 years' time, and you have a thesis with you. So there is a lot of scope after that for sure. And I can't answer that question till you really. I mean, I'll probably take a broader view on it in the sense that yes, integrated MSc is very um, it's a very useful program, especially if you're passionate about that subject and you want to opt in early, right? Let's look at. I've heard naturopathy, Ayurvedic, and Unani section are totally trash in terms of salary. Ajitesh, have you? I think this section is moving again and again. Just a minute. I think I just lost the question. I won't really be able to comment on salary much because there are a lot of unemployed engineers in our country, and there are a lot of unemployed people from pretty much every field. So I won't really be, I don't think I should be commenting on salary. There are a lot of people, if you're good in your field, you don't really complain about getting enough work. Plus, we are moving a lot towards natural methods of healing, right? And I don't see a challenge in really moving up the ladder if you're a naturopath, right? Okay. Colleges that offer BTech biotechnology with PCB subjects in class 12. Lalit, this is for you. I think you can share the link of BTech biotechnology colleges.
Sure, sure.
Right, BSc Biotechnology, literally the most recommended university. We honestly, we are not recommending universities. That's why I kind of stayed away from giving a ranking. SRM over, okay. So you remember my last slide? Look at all the parameters and then take a call on whether which university is more appropriate for you, right? So use that. That's like the decision-making matrix. Use all those parameters, score for yourself, and then you'll come up with this answer. Okay, I don't have a name to that. And is there a scope in BDS dental in Canada? I'm sure there is. Ma'am, what could be the expected cutoff for DSEU for degree courses? This needs to really be seen now because I don't think they have really released their cutoffs or they've given any kind of indication what kind of marks they're looking at. And anyway, mostly universities will release marks after the CBSE class 12 marks are released by them, because that is when they say, okay, this is my number of seats and this is pretty much the distribution of marks released by the board. They don't typically release their cutoffs before the marks are released. Okay, so it's a little premature to answer this question. BSc Aeronautical Science, we have a specific page on this. I think, Shritama, if you can share the CHP link with Vishnu, that would help Vishnu for sure.
Sure, I'll share that.
Again, BSc Physics and IIC cutoff. Do we have the latest cutoffs? I mean, Shritama, you want to probably share the cutoffs also, or maybe just share the exam pages. We have detailed information over there. Future of cybersecurity and cyber defense. Well, we've talked a lot about cybersecurity. Already mentioned that it's a huge application as far as professionals are concerned. So I won't really be able to I'm sorry if my volume has been bothering you and my voice is not very audible. Can't do much about that. Good colleges in Mumbai for BSc CS. Lalit, this is for you. Can you please share the link with this person? He's not left a name though.
Sure.
BSc Cardiovascular Technology from abroad. There are a lot of questions for colleges abroad, and we do have a dedicated website for study abroad. I would really encourage all of you guys to take a look at that. But Shritama, if you can just share the links for science colleges, you can share some study abroad
Sure, I'll
links
do
as
that.
well. That will help Ajitesh. BSc Stats. BSc Stats is fantastic. It's Purnima. It's a fantastic uh, um, field or specialization or a skill set to walk out with, because when you understand numbers, you can really look at every industry for application of that industry, because we're looking at data, we're looking at people who are smart with analyzing data, right? So open to application across industries, I would say BSc Stats is really good. Psychology, Abhinanda, we will get back to you on the psychology link. Please do share your email ID so that we can, let you know when the psychology module is happening. Okay, there's something on Lavender is asking, is this meeting for international students also? Well, I haven't really covered international colleges in my module, so unfortunately that's not within our scope, but you can definitely look up our study abroad website. Astrophysics, oh yes, Mukesh. Sritama is going to share a link with you where you can do a detailed study on astrophysics. I won't be able to do justice to this question of yours in just a couple of seconds, right? BSc Agriculture is good in the future. Oh, the agriculture is not going anywhere. I mean, if we have to excel, if we have to grow as a nation, it is people, it is specialists in agriculture that we need. We need smart people to get into agriculture. So, and there are a lot of people who are going back to farms, who are doing their own dairy farming, etc. So, I would really urge you guys to look at that very seriously. There's massive future for agri studies. BSc LLB. We already spoke about BSc LLB, Ashwin. In case you want to know a little more, we can share a link with you. Just drop your email ID and we'll get back to you with the relevant pages. Epidemiology, yes, it does get covered in BSc in Public Health. It is also a module in MBBS, for example, because you're looking at large-scale incidents of disease. You study diseases, you study where they start, the how large-scale infections happen, and so on. So that's pretty much. It is an area in public health, but it is also a module within MBBS itself. And it is an area of specialization as well. I mean, you can individually become an epidemiologist. BSc Computer is better or not? Better or not? Of course, that question needs to be fleshed out a little more. What is better, BSc, MSc in physics, or BSc honors in physics and then MSc from institutes like IITs or TIFR? Okay, so BSc honors in physics. So BSc plus MSc in physics, I'm assuming you're talking about an integrated program. Here again, look at the time investment that you're going to look at. If you really look at two different programs, you're looking at 3 years plus 2 years, 5 years. And if you're looking at an integrated program, you're most likely to come out with 4 years of study, right? So it's about really opting in early for that specialization. And I wouldn't say one is better than the other. It really depends on what is the quality of college that you're going to. If it is a better quality college, they have tighter modules. Again, I would encourage you to look at the course structure and the curriculum. If you're pretty much studying all the elements that you're studying in a BSc honors, followed by the other institutes that we were mentioning, I don't see the reason why you wouldn't want to go for an integrated. BSc Physics Honours at Punjab University, Chandigarh, a good option? Anmol, we have a lot of information on Punjab University. We have all the other parameters. If you want to get in touch with somebody in Punjab University, drop us your email ID and we can facilitate um, a dialogue with a current student also. So I would encourage a lot of you, if you've kind of shortlisted your colleges and you want to speak to some current student to figure out whether this is a good college or not, it's a good university or it's a good program, we'll try and facilitate that interaction with the current student. Is stats necessary to study in bioinformatics? It is desirable. I think stats is something which you definitely need if you want to get into bioinformatics. So yes, I would say it is necessary, and it is one of the modules that you study for bioinformatics, because stats is about understanding data, right? What do we study in BSc Food Technology? Shitama, can you share the course homepage link of BSc Food Technology with Sam? But just in a nutshell, so Sam, please do look up the page because there is a lot of information over there. I mean, it gives you good food for thought, quite literally. But if I was to just tell you in a nutshell, food technology is really about understanding the bio aspect of food. What are the chemical components? How does it impact our body? How can you engineer that? Can you make smarter food? Can you make more nutritious food and things like that? Those are the questions that you answer in a food technology program. Okay. Will cybersecurity give good pay? I hope it does, because it's a very popular program, and anything which helps us become less vulnerable should definitely be valuable, right? Provided that you're good at that job. What will be career-worthy field, either agri or bio, be pharma? Depends on what are you interested in. Agri and pharma are two very slightly different specializations, and I would urge you to really think more about where you're inclined, right? Can't really compare the two. Which college is perfect for BSc Geology? Lalit, this requires your attention. Please share with Abhijit, the list of colleges which offer BSc Geology.
Sure.
Right, and Abhijit, what you will do is when you get this list, you can look at all the other parameters that we've already spoken about. It's very easy to discover that when you on the page that Lalit is going to share with you, because a lot of the the ranking data, the review data, all that is kind of compressed, and it will be visible to you when you see that page. Does pharmacy have scope in India? Yes, it does, Varshini. We have a couple of pages where you can do a deep dive on pharmacy, and I would really encourage you to do that. So, as well as colleges. So, I think, Lalit, this needs your attention, and even Shritama, if you can just share the course pages with Varshini on pharmacy, all the relevant pages that
sure.
we have, yeah, B Pharma as well as BSc programs in pharmacy. What would be the path for pilot for Air Force? Interesting. We haven't covered Air Force. Any preparation institute to clear entrance? Okay, so this is the DGCA, the Directorate for Civil Aviation has a list of institutes which are considered. So there are a lot of institutes that offer these programs in aviation, but they need approval from DGCA. And yes, as a science student, you can go ahead and enroll in those institutes and train for a pilot program. And the training is kind of tied with the number of hours of flying. You have to go for a foundation program, and then you start. I think there are a number of hours that you need to put in. At first, it's a simulator, and then you kind of do actual flying. Yeah, so that's how it goes. And as you keep accumulating flying hours, you can move up the ranks. We haven't covered aviation in our module, but this is interesting. Maybe we'll cover it in some of our subsequent modules. I want to crack UPSC exam, but I don't know which subject is better. This is Nitin. Nitin, all the best for UPSC, but which subject is really appealing to you? You must ask yourself that question. I don't, obviously, we will be better at subjects that interest us, right? So go ahead and ask yourself that question. UPSC can be taken, I mean, the exam pretty much is very flexible. It gives you a large bucket of subjects to choose from. And I think we can share the exam page with you. We have a detailed exam page which will tell you the exam pattern, what are the subjects that you can take, what are the, how you can prep yourself better. So we can definitely share that with you. Right, Shritama, if you can do that, Shritam, between you and Mukul, if you can just share that link.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Cardiac perfusion, Ruchita, some of the best earning allied or pharmacy courses. I don't have data around this, and I would probably need to look this up and get back to you, Ruchita. Can you share your email ID? This is a very interesting question. I am not equipped to answer this right now, but I can definitely get back to you. I'm sure I'll learn a lot finding out the answer myself. But please do leave your email ID. Okay, I think, are we at the end of our time, Deepank? How much time do we still have left? BSc Forensic Science and Criminology is good for future or not? Madhur, honestly, it's a very fascinating field. Forensic sciences has got a bunch of applications. It is not just used for criminology. I think we can definitely share more details with you. It's a very high paying field, I can tell you that, and there aren't a lot of experts or specialists for this, is what I remember reading up. But we can definitely share a few links with you on forensic sciences and criminology. And maybe Mukul and Shritama are going to help out with that.
Yes, I have answered his question, Madhu's question, and shared the link with him.
Okay, great. Thanks. Best colleges in Delhi for microbiology and BSc Biotechnology. We have in fact ranking pages on Shiksha, and we can share those with you. You will find not just the NIRF ranking, you will find private publishers, you will find our own popularity ranks. So you can basically choose which ranking you want to go for. So don't just take ranking, of course. Take a lot of other aspects as well. Go with reviews, go with what students are saying. Take some time to read those reviews. There's a wealth of information on what students are really saying. And I also want to mention at this point that on Shiksha, we take the trouble of verifying whether this is a genuine student or not. If it is not a genuine student, we do not publish it as a verified review. The second is we do not doctor, we do not kind of misrepresent anything that students are saying. We don't want to change the tone or the tenor or make it more promotional, nothing of that sort. We try to sort of just keep it as is. And there's a lot of detail that is packed into those reviews. Only if you have the time and the patience to actually read them, you'll figure out that there's a lot of information there. We've done some sort of tagging at the beginning of a review page where you can sort of figure out, okay, what are the various aspects that are being covered? Am I more interested in placements? Am I more interested in median salary? Am I more interested in research or faculty? You can choose, you can click on that particular tag and it will give you reviews which are talking about that aspect. So go ahead and I would encourage you to play around with the reviews for the colleges that you're looking at. Institute for UPSC coaching, Rahul, we do not recommend coaching institutes. That's not something that we want to do, unfortunately. Okay, Mukesh has shared his email ID. I think we can get back to him. Anjali, you're interested in brain-related diseases and cure for them. Very fascinating. This is a very super specialization, right? So you need to be preparing for NEET, which is which is your MBBS, right? So go for a proper, like a hardcore medical program. right? And I think we're almost towards the end of questions. Maybe if you can just drop us a question along with your email ID, we'd love to get back to you so that, there's nobody left. No questions are left unanswered. Great. So thank you. Thanks a lot. And I think Dipank has shared some reference link in the chat. If you can share that with your friends, let them know that Shiksha is doing something like this for students. It's totally free of cost. And we just want to help out students, then it'll be great. We're doing commerce tomorrow. If you have any friends who you would like to refer to, who you'd like to refer for commerce, then that'll be great. Thanks a lot. Have a great day, guys, and all the best for your college and course selection. All the best and thanks. Thanks for joining us.